One half down, one half to go. Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Halftime Chill, presented by Coors Light. Will Peterson, James Merlot, Rachel Behill hanging out with you as we break down the first half of the Broncos beating the Tennessee Titans 10-7. And gentlemen, about a minute ago, I was riding really high, feeling really good, thinking this is going much better than I thought it was going to. And then the Titans come down and score a touchdown, leading us to 10-7. Is this going worse or better than you were expecting it to, Will?
It's going about how I expected, right? It's a gross game. There was 9 punts to start before the Broncos finally broke through with Jalen Virgil's first career catch, which 66-yard touchdown, a heck of a way to get your first catch. I know we'll get more into that, but Rachel, it feels like every game. I feel like James, like we could have pre-recorded this. Broncos up 10-7 at half. Neither offense can do much. They made one big play. They suffered one big injury, and the bend but don't break defense couldn't get a key stop near the end of the half. Not that this is on the defense at all, but it's a much different vibe if it's 10-0 or 10-3. So 10-7, about what I expected, but obviously a lot of concerning things from that first half as well.
Yeah, I mean, heading into that last drive, the Broncos had 207 yards of offense. That's a pretty good half. And they had held the Titans to 41 yards. 207 to 41. So a couple of things. One, they're dominating. They should be up more than 10-0 with that kind of a performance, and they weren't. That's one area of concern. And then you give up the 75-yard drive there that makes this a close game. Part of the issue, though, for being fair, they started 3 drives inside their own 10-yard line. It's hard to score when you're having to go 90-plus yards. And this is a team that seems like that happens to them every week. I mean, they have just some buzzard's luck when it comes to the ball bouncing on punts, because I'll bet they've started a dozen drives inside the 10-yard line this year. So that's part of why, even though the stats kind of showed the Broncos dominated, the scoreboard doesn't. But I'll tell you this, the key drive, opening drive of the second half. You go out there, you get a touchdown, you go back up 10. Okay, I feel pretty good about it. If they go 3 and out and give it right back to Tennessee, the Titans have all the momentum at that point.
Well, we're going to get into what we would change for the Broncos in a little bit going into the second half. But we have to talk about, at least for me, I'm actually a little bit more impressed because it seems like King Derrick Henry isn't running all over this Broncos defense, which I wasn't expecting too much, but I was expecting a lot more. The fact that they've been able to shut him down pretty dang well. Well,
yeah, I mean, Ejiro Evero, there's a reason he's a hot name already to be an NFL head coach. He's already one of the top guys to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, according to the odds makers, right? So he's on people's radars, and his defensive scheme today was genius. He was able to get multiple linebackers outside on the field. He had Jewell out there. He had Singleton out there. I assume it was Griffith was the third. I'm blanking on that. But without Justin Simmons, he got creative. Even Andrew Mason said, whoa, this is a new formation. And they have totally shut Derrick Henry down. There's one coach on this staff who seems to get it and who I really like, and that's Ejiro Evero. And even without Justin Simmons, they're shutting down Derrick Henry, and that's just a credit to the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, 8 carries, 16 yards. He's done very little against them. It reminds me of the game, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when they came in here and they got shut out by the Broncos 16-0. Denver did a really good job against Derrick Henry that day as well. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, they didn't run the ball once on that last drive. It was Ryan Tannehill throwing that kind of got him going. So they're going to have to find some sort of answer for that of, all right, get more pressure. I like that they've been kind of bringing it and getting after Tannehill, but they didn't on that last drive. And the one time they got close to him, he was able to escape it. So they've done a great job on Derrick Henry. The last drive was a bummer, but overall it was a thumbs up from the defense. You know, there have been a few things that have been improvements today. One other thing I noticed, watch when Russell Wilson comes to the sideline. He doesn't talk to Nathaniel Hackett. He's talking to Clint Kubiak on the sideline. It makes me wonder who's giving him the plays and what the process is, because that's different to me. It's Nathaniel Hackett coming over and talking to those two guys and chiming in versus the head coach and the quarterback. I thought that was interesting in the first half as well.
Did you notice almost a little bit of the cold shoulder, I'm not really going to look over at you kind of attitude from Russell Wilson to Hackett? Because I noticed that stuck out to me when they walked over.
Yeah, and it was interesting, right? That it was like, hey, don't be putting your nose in the conversation here. We got it. Well, if he's the head coach and he's the play caller, he would be in that. So something is different. And, you know, maybe we've just spent 2 weeks talking about it and we're looking for things. Maybe. But I don't feel like in the first 8 games of the season, we saw the quarterback talking to Clint Kubiak. I don't even remember seeing Clint Kubiak on the sideline, to be honest with you. And now he's down there every single time talking with Russ. So watch for that in the second half. See how much interaction you see between Hackett and Wilson, because something is different. Something is different. And look, the 10 points is the same. And you're right, Will. It's on repeat. The number of times in 2.5 seasons they've had 10 points at halftime has got to be half of them. But statistically, they actually had a pretty good half, right? I mentioned the 200 yards of offense. Russell Wilson's thrown for $188. I know 66 of that was on one play, but even if you take that out, he had a pretty good first half. They can't run the ball. And raise your hand if you ever want to see Melvin Gordon on the field again in a Broncos uniform. My goodness, what are we doing here?
Well, people in the comments are definitely agreeing with you. Russ Van Wilson is starting to work. I'm here for it. But, of course, you lose Jerry Jeudy early on, first play. It's not good. He was downgraded to out. They said they're looking at something in the back of his ankle. So we'll keep everybody interested or up to date on that at DenverFan.com. But we have to talk about the fact that Kendall Hinton and Jalen Virgil have stepped up tremendously for Russell Wilson being out there without Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, James.
Yeah, Jalen Virgil with the big play, right? And showing some speed. And he's really been the guy that's been out there because of KJ Hamler not playing. That was a huge play. You know, Kendall Hinton, 3 catches, 61 yards. Okay, he's kind of been that's a 20-yard average. That's a move in the chains kind of a guy. And, hey, we were really hard on Cortland Sutton heading into this game, and rightfully so. And at the start of the game, he had 2 just bad drops, one that was particularly bad. But then followed that up with 2 really nice catches. So if he can get going, okay, maybe they got a little something. But yeah, Kendall Hinton, the guy who was the hot dog eater, he's having a better day today.
But here's the thing, too, guys. If Virgil can make a play like that, why has he been inactive all year? And Montreal Washington, who's been worthless all year, has continued to be active, right? Like, it's just another indictment on this coaching staff and their inability to properly evaluate talent, right? Like, that Virgil touchdown was awesome. His speed in space, he looked just as fast as Montreal Washington to me. Like, yeah, I want to be positive, and I'm happy for Virgil. And if Judy's out a long time and Hamler remains out, then Virgil's going to get chances. But it's November 13th, and we're finally seeing this kid. That's my bigger takeaway, is I'm already more impressed with Jalen Virgil in one half of football than I have been with Montreal Washington all year.
Well, yeah, and he's just been totally ineffective in the return game. I mean, the one he got blown up on today, I'm not quite sure how he held onto the ball, but their special teams performance in that half was just all the more reason, the D-Mac/me method of just fair catch it all the time, just take a knee all the time. Like, why you invest a roster spot and a draft pick in a guy to return punts that's out there trying to be a hero on every single play instead of just getting the ball back for your offense and move on, I think is a mistake, because you're right, Will. He's no part of the offense. When he's out there, they know it's some sort of gadget play going to him, just like it was with Deontay Spencer. Yeah. I think it's silly. Just put your guy with your best hands back there. Back when it was Jim Leonard, remember? Just Jim Leonard back there calling the fair catch, moving on, letting the offense get out there. I'd be fine with that.
So moving forward into the second half, what changes would you want to be seen? Will, let's start with you.
Melvin Gordon to never, ever, ever, ever touch the football again. Guys, he fumbled on that. Mike Vrabel is asleep at the wheel, not challenging that. And the Broncos caught a huge break there because that ball was coming free, and it was kind of coming out the whole way down. So I would like to see Melvin Gordon benched. Listen, I tweeted this to Zach By. It's on George Paton for re-signing him. It's on George Paton for not cutting him, and it's on Nathaniel Hackett for putting him back on the field and making him the starter after he pouted and had his little tweet-like temper tantrum and then his embarrassing locker room interview at Dove Valley. I'm so sick of Melvin Gordon, and I hope Greg Penner's paying attention, because if Melvin Gordon is going to get to keep playing because Nathaniel and Hackett and George Paton won't do anything about it, then Greg Penner should do something about Nathaniel Hackett and George Paton.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said there. Completely, I'm with you. I think what they need to do, first of all, you just got to hope you have better field position, right? So they should start this drive at the 25. Montreal, take a knee. Don't be a hero. Start at the 25. Put together a march. I would like to see him go up tempo. That was something that worked and kind of gave him a spark a bit in London. I'd like to see him do that on a drive or two here in the second half. Again, they're moving the ball pretty well, but this is what we've been seeing all year. They're 13th in the league in total yards. That's a playoff team. 13th in total yards on offense, and this defense, that's a playoff team, but they're what, 30th in points? It just doesn't lead to anything, and we saw it again in the first half. So, aside from the one big play, which was exciting, that was a lot of moving and really getting nowhere. So I think maybe up-tempo could get them rolling a little bit. That'd be my change.
James, I appreciate your actual analysis while I just go on a Melvin Gordon rant. So we balance each other nicely.
I always love a rant. Vent all day. I'm fine with it.
All right.
Well, a lot of people are with you. A lot of our comments are about Melvin Gordon. Why is he getting the ball? Why is he touching the ball? Why is he still part of this team? So you're not alone on that. I will say Jake is fabulous on the back end. He did say this is the 4th time the Broncos have scored 10 or more points at half this season. The Broncos scored 10 or more points at the half last season 10 times. So a little fun fact for you guys right there. Jake always doing a wonderful job. Defensively, is there anything that needs to change, or is everything kind of working with the pieces that they have because of injuries? James?
I think everything's working. I mean, it's a little bit, again, microcosm of the year. That defense was really active. They were around the football a lot, but they didn't make the big play, right? PJ Locke, it seemed like he had his hands on the football 2 or 3 times. I do think they have to make a play, force a turnover, force Ryan Tannehill into a mistake. You got to get something like that to happen. Broncos have dodged some bullets in terms of turnovers. Russ should have had a pick in the end zone there when they got the field goal. And you're right, Will. Melvin put it on the ground. That should have been a fumble. So this kind of game, 10-7, a little bit of what we all expected, right? The Titans want to win games 17-14, 20-17. It's going to go that way. So it's going to come down to, hey, who forces the mistake and or who makes the mistake? Broncos defense needs to, and again, they're doing the right thing. They're active. They're around the ball. It feels like they're on the cusp of a turnover. They just need to break through and force one to happen.
Yeah, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've scored a touchdown on defense this year, right? They scored the safety when Jimmy G went out of the back of the end zone, and it could have been a Bradley Chubb pick 6, but he had stepped out. I don't think they've scored a touchdown on defense this year. I remember, and this is going to be a weird throwback, but Super Bowl 50 mic'd up. Carolina Panthers captain Thomas Davis told his team, we have to score on defense to win this game, because they knew the Broncos defense was that good and was going to shut Cam Newton down. I'm not saying that's the case because they're up 10-7 and they do have a touchdown, but they got to score on defense at some point to win games. That's a lofty goal. I get it, but I'd love to see a touchdown defensively for them.
If they get a defensive touchdown today, they will win, guaranteed.
Fingers crossed.
Agreed. All right, second half kicking off right now. Everybody enjoy it. We'll be back with post game. Myself, DMAC, and James Marilat. Come hang out with us. We'll see everybody then. Bye.